John F. Mitchell and Martin Cooper showed the first portable cell phone in 1973. Motorola Dynatac 8000X was a revolution at the time. Consider this for a moment. Since the introduction of the telephone 100 years ago, it had to be linked with wires, and you couldn't carry it with you anyways. It won't operate unless all of these cables are connected. When Graham Bell created the telephone, it was like magic. How is it feasible to communicate to someone in another city with a piece of plastic attached to some wires? But Motorola Dynatac 8000X was just the beginning, since what was about to come couldn't be conceived even by the brightest minds of that time. Hey there! Welcome to the Investing Wise Academy channel. And for today, we will talk about the one thing that most people can't leave off: smartphones. This is Fred. If you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe to be updated for more upcoming videos like this. The mobile revolution has just begun. Nokia unveiled its first mobile phone in 1989, weighing about a kilogram or 800 grams. Other competitors like IBM swiftly joined the sector, and with the introduction of the internet, mobile phones look like the future. Computers used to be these massive devices with boxy screens that look just hideous. I think Gen Z will never comprehend what we went through. In 1999, BlackBerry revolutionized the business by producing a phone that could send an email and access the internet. When compared to what your phone can accomplish now, that seems ridiculous. Just 20 years ago, a little smartphone that fits nicely in your pocket was more powerful than 1,000 massive computers. So, how do we go from this to this? Looking back, everything appears simple yet forecasting. However, the future was as challenging back then as now. Back in the 2000s, Jony Ive proposed the notion of a touchscreen to Steve Jobs. However, some senior Apple engineers questioned the technology, and it took Apple 4 years to make it work. That's why when Apple entered the phone market, competitors such as BlackBerry and Nokia could not compete with Apple right away because they lacked the technology that Apple possessed, and it took them years to develop a practical and durable touchscreen. However, in the last 20 years, something else has been going on that we weren't expecting. Not even the world's largest business was aware of something going on. Thanks to the internet, we have accumulated more data in the last few years than we have in all human history. Everything done on the internet is saved somewhere on the internet. When I began studying for this video, I wanted to see what happened to the old emails I made when Yahoo or Hotmail was prominent. To my amazement, they are still alive, but I no longer have access to them. But when I dug more, I discovered I had dozens, if not hundreds, of separate accounts on various websites. You may construct a virtual representation of myself by combining them. I've had a virtual persona for the past 2 decades that I've used the internet. But it's not just me, it's everyone. Indeed, individuals born in the last 10 or 15 years are growing up with cell phones in their hands, practically developing a virtual identity from birth. So virtual reality isn't a sci-fi fantasy, but it has been happening for almost 2 decades. When we use phrases like Metaverse, virtual reality, or artificial reality, it seems so far in the future that we may not be able to experience them in our lifetime. But the fact is that the revolution has already begun. Consider how much of what you do occurs in real life and how much occurs in the virtual world. You might not notice anything strange at first. However, the typical American spends 59 hours each week on the internet. That works out to about 8.5 hours every day. So the virtual world consumes more than 1/3 of your time. It may not seem the way since we are now experiencing virtual reality through screens, and it does not feel like virtual reality. But you can be anybody you want on the internet or in the virtual world. You can do whatever you want. You may use Instagram to make yourself appear to be a successful business, doctor, or traveler, even if you are not. Consider whether your reality resembles the image your Instagram profile portrays. Most likely not. Consider Zoom calls. It's an experience where all of you enter this virtual environment to talk without getting out of bed. We have progressed to the point that we may connect, entertain, date, study, and even work in this virtual environment. Travis Scott held his first virtual concert in 2020 with 12 million people attending. These figures appear surreal because cramming 12 million people into one location is physically impossible. That's a whole city the size of New York. Nevertheless, people could fly, battle, and leave the globe while seeing Travis Scott perform. Videos of his concert as people experience it may be seen on YouTube. Travis got $20 million from this show. Not terrible at all. He is not, however, alone. Ariana Grande held her first virtual performance in August, and Justin Bieber is also planning a virtual event. Fortnite is a metaverse in and of itself. The only issue is that we are now experiencing the metaverse through screens. However, we are going to enter the metaverse in 3D. Oculus, PlayStation VR, HTC Vive, and Microsoft HoloLens are already available. They're incredibly cool if you haven't tried them yet. Playing games in Oculus is an entirely new experience, but it isn't quite there yet. There are heavy, large, and unpleasant objects and your options are restricted, but that's precisely how phones used to be. Do you remember the first phone? It took over 25 years to get from this to smartphones. So it's just a matter of time before we have lightweight and comfy VR headgear. We need substantially less time now that we have the infrastructure in place. Consider what we can do when VR headsets are as pleasant as smartphones are now. However, there is another question. Which metaverse will we use? Everyone appears to be creating their metaverse. Facebook renamed itself Meta to establish its version of the metaverse. Microsoft, Fortnite, and Nvidia are developing their metaverse versions. So which one will we employ? Back when the internet was still in its infancy, it was always like this. You couldn't just Google things to find out what they were. The only method to visit a website is to get the name of that website from someone or something. However, the internet has advanced so that we can now Google things, download apps, and communicate via social media. And the metaverse is on its way there. Crypto is the virtual money, NFTs are the virtual ownership, and blockchain is used to decentralize everything. People may still have reservations about the virtual world, particularly regarding virtual currency. However, it all boils down to what we value at the end of the day. For example, what do you think of when you think of the US dollar? What is it that makes it valuable? Nothing but our trust in it. Currency had to be backed by gold or a commodity in the past, but that changed after 1971. So if people believe this piece of paper is worth this much, it will be worth that much. We think that the government will enforce this money, but when it comes to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, our faith stems from the notion that it is a decentralized system that we can all monitor. In other words, we can assign value to anything if we all agree to do so, even if it's only a piece of paper with some numbers and drawings. Most of what I describe sounds far-fetched, yet we already have virtual influencers. Lil Miquela here. She has 3.1 million Instagram followers. She develops content and promotes sponsored items in the same way that we do. The only difference is that she doesn't exist, but no one seems to care. They enjoy her photos, leave a remark, and follow her here. More and more firms will unveil their VR headsets during the next 5 years. I predict that Apple's next big item will be a VR headset. Apple has failed many patents recently, demonstrating that they are working on such a technology. The entire industry will be transformed if they can achieve with VR headgear what they did with smartphones and smartwatches. But in the meanwhile, you may learn more by watching our videos. Because if you like this video, you'll probably like our other videos on this channel. So, what do you think about the first phone that was created? Do you believe the Metaverse will come sooner or later in our life? Let me know in the comments section down below. Again, this is Fred. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and turn on your notifications. Thanks for watching and until next time.